The fuck is going on? Paper Mario: The Origami King is an action-adventure game developed by Intelligent Systems and published by Nintendo. The game starts off as Mario and Luigi arrive to the Origami Festival where they were invited by Princess Peach to attend. But instead of arriving to a party, they arrive to an abandoned town, and Peach has been turned into origami and brainwashed by King Ali, who is the main antagonist you deal with throughout the game. Early on, you meet King Ali's sister, Olivia, and you will be with her the majority of the game as she assists you along the way in various ways that we'll get into later. Many of Bowser's minions have met a fate of being turned evil, more evil than they were before, I guess, because I thought they were always evil, but in this game they were good at the beginning, and they were turned evil by being turned into origami and becoming folded soldiers. Those are your minion enemies you face throughout the game. As Mario is escaping the castle, Ali wraps the castle in 5 multicolored streamers and rips it off its foundation, transporting it to a nearby volcano. Mario is barely able to escape this, and that sets off the journey to take down all 5 multicolored streamers so they can save Peach. Before we dive deeper into the story of this game, let's talk about the combat, because I feel like that's where a lot of the issues with this game, for me, lie. So this game, instead of having traditional turn-based like old Paper Mario games did, they had more of like a match 'em up turn-based, where it's like you either need to get them in a straight line, and you have 2 or 3 turns to do this before it automatically ends, or you can get them into groups of 4, and if you do that with all of them in the moves allowed, you can deal more damage. You can also get the Toads as you save them throughout. They join you. They're in the little bleachers around the outside. You can give them coins to help you along the way, whether that's heal you or line them up for you sometimes, or stuff like that. And that can really help you along the way. My biggest issue with this combat is because of the way it is, it's so monotonous and so repetitive that it almost becomes boring, and you almost don't want to do it anymore, and you just hate it. And for me anyway. And I just wish they would have just stuck with the normal turn-based combat, because I think that would have been a better way to go. I think that would have been fine. I didn't see an issue with the turn-based. They could have done different things with the turn-based, which they did here, but they didn't do it well, I can say. I would have just stuck with the normal turn-based and maybe added some more elements to it that isn't this turn-style turn-based that really, I think, drags down the fun of the game. And when you're playing the game for 27 to 30 hours, if the combat is dragging down the fun for you instantly, that grind for 27, 30 hours is going to be ridiculous. And I think they should have went a different way here, and I think this game really falters in that sense. It gets even worse with the boss fights, as you have these like green arrows where you have to follow the green arrows. Either you could see it on the screen here, where you can either go straight, you can go down and around. You have to try to like maneuver your way to either a combat area or an elemental area. Elementals we'll get into here in a second. But this makes it even, it takes combat that I already don't like and already find monotonous and annoying and boring, and it makes it even harder, which boss fights should be harder, but when you already have combat you don't like and you add even more elements to a combat you don't like, it makes it even worse. And I did not have fun with the boss fights. Aesthetically, they look good. There's nice visuals within the boss fights, but the boss fights themselves aren't fun. They're just annoying because you have to do these green arrow things and you have to do it in so many turns to get it there. And yeah, it makes you think, how do I do this? But to me, I just didn't have fun with it. I don't like it. I like the way the old Paper Marios did it. I wish they would have stuck with that. And this combat in general just didn't work for me. I wish they would have gone a different way. And it's disappointing because this game had an opportunity to be good in certain areas, and I had issues with other things too. But I think this combat drags it down a lot, especially in a long game like this. You can also use accessories during battle, such as raising your HP a little bit when battle starts, being able to raise the amount of time that you get to try to match up the enemies into a row or into fours, and the ability to reduce the amount of damage you can take in a battle. With items you can use during battle, such as healing, your ice and fire flowers, which you can throw like 4 balls at an enemy. This is also straight line attack, and you can use that. It usually does a decent amount of damage. Or for your hammer substitute, it's the tail, which is your close range, which does a decent amount of attack. And you can use, as long as you have these, you can use these at any time you want. And they can really be helpful when you're in a pinch, especially early on in the game before you start getting more supplies. So let's talk about the elementals in the game. There's 4 of them. You get them through various boss fights in the game, and you use these because there's parts of the map you can't even get to, and you have to get these elementals to even proceed in the story. So you have to beat these bosses to get these elementals, and they're nice. I think they're visually, it's one of the better parts of the game, being able to see that Olivia folding into, because Olivia uses these elementals, Olivia folding into these things. It's really neat. I really like it. You have to get these books from the bosses, and then Olivia reads the books and turns into them. And like I said, this game has its good moments, and I feel like the elemental part of it is a good moment of the game, a really unique way to do it. And hopefully, if they do make more Marios, they implement this even better. They get rid of that turn-based combat, turnstile combat, I should say, and it would just be a better game for it, especially if you're going to make the game as long as this, because the elemental idea I really loved, and I was excited to see what the next elemental was, even if I wasn't having a ton of fun with the game because the combat dragging it down for me. I was still looking forward to seeing what the next thing was and how to implement it, how to use it, that kind of stuff I really do enjoy. So another issue I had with the game is the story overall. At a runtime between 27 to 30 hours, depending, even more if you're going around doing all the collectible stuff and stuff like that, really drags. It drags really hard, especially at the beginning of the game with the tutorial section. The tutorial section is really, really mind-numbing, as they keep tutorialing you the same thing over and over and over and over again. You're just like, and I know it's a kid's game, and I'm just like, okay, I get it. I really get it. Stop telling me. God damn it. Stop telling me the same thing. And the same with Olivia, where Olivia will stop you, especially early on in the game, even more like the first half of the game, just telling you mindless bullshit all the time, not letting you progress, every 10 seconds interrupting you, and really disrupting the pacing of the game. The pacing of the game, especially early on, is absolutely terrible. Between Olivia interrupting you all the time, the tutorials being mind-numbing and stuff like that. It gets a little better in the middle section, and then in the third in the third act, it really starts to drag again. And it's just like, this game really could have maybe cut off like 12 hours and been completely fine. Because a lot of this stuff just felt like filler for the sake of filler. And there'll be kids that play this game and really enjoy it. But I mean, and it's target demographic, obviously. But for me personally, I didn't enjoy it. I love Mario. I'm a huge Mario fan. I loved Mario Odyssey, so I really went into this game looking to really enjoy it, and I just really didn't. I didn't enjoy it. There was elements I enjoyed. There were parts I enjoyed, but in the story overall, I don't think it ever really connected with me. And that's a shame. As much as I love Mario, I was really hoping for more, but for me, it just didn't work. So I spent a lot of time on the negatives of the game, so it seems like I hate it, but I don't hate it. There are some elements that I really enjoyed, such as the level design. It wasn't filled out like I would have wanted, but I thought the level design in the game was really good. The music in the game, Nintendo does really good job with their music, and Paper Mario is no different in that sense. We already touched on the Olivia Elemental stuff that I really like, and there was also boss fights that were fully interactive. And it was probably my favorite parts of the game by far, but they were few and far in between. So it was only like a small bit of fun. But I really enjoyed those boss fights. I wish there was more of them. It really would have brought the game to a higher level for me. But they were few and far in between. But from the ones that were there, I really enjoyed it. And if they could do more of those kinds of things in future games, I think that would really do justice to the game and make it even better. But until then, we're going to have to wait and see what Intelligent Systems and Nintendo decide to do. I hope they make some corrections to the combat system, add some more interactive boss fights, return the normal combat back to its base turn-based combat. But I wouldn't even mind if they turned it fully interactive, because literally the best parts of the games were those two boss fights that were fully interactive. So I'm hoping for the best. I can't wait to see what they do next. I'm hopeful because the older Paper Mario titles were good, so I'm very hopeful that they can pull this back around. But until then, like I said, we're just going to have to wait and see. In terms of the final score, um, overall, I've been going back and forth on it, and overall, I just didn't really enjoy the game. I think the combat is not good. I think they need to maybe go backwards to the way the old combat was, or maybe try to make Paper Mario entirely interactive and see how that goes in terms of combat. The story was really drawn out and maybe about 2 times longer than it needed to be. It just felt like a lot of filler was thrown in there to try to pad the runtime of the game, and it really showed, and it started to drag out. And like we talked about, there are elements I really liked, and I'm hoping for the best because there is a good game here. I just don't feel like it ever really hit its stride, and so it's not really overall here like it should be. So I'm gonna go ahead and give this game a 5 out of 10. It's kind of tough love, but I know this game could be better. I see the good elements when I was playing the game, that I know this game could be much better than what it is. And so I guess we'll just have to wait and see what both Intelligent Systems and Nintendo do with the Paper Mario franchise from here. But that's going to do it for this review. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like the video, please hit the like button. If you like the content we've been putting out a lot of podcast playthroughs, reviews, spoiler discussion videos. If you like those, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And hit the bell to be notified when videos go live. But until then, that's going to do it for me. Thank you guys again so much for watching, and I will talk to you next time. Bye, guys.